العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ومن اتبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Today I would like to share with you an amazing thing. That's the reason I'm standing here and talking to you once in a while, and sometimes I have to go somewhere else. Because seeking knowledge, which is the majority of this ummah, the people, they don't know it's an obligation actually to learn about your deen. I give you an example. When the Prophet ﷺ, he says, "Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli." For example, take this hadith. The Prophet says, "Pray as if you see me pray." How would you pray as if you see the Prophet ﷺ? It doesn't make sense if you think about it just like that. If you don't seek knowledge, you open the book and keep searching until you get to the point that you can see how the Prophet used to pray. So seeking knowledge will get you to that level of praying as the Prophet used to pray. So seeking knowledge in Islam is an obligation. So you know it's an obligation, like salat is an obligation. But don't take it too much. You may say, oh, what do you mean, seeking knowledge? Knowledge that the ulama, they say it has many different meanings. One of them is the knowledge that you need to worship Allah, like the knowledge of salat. You may not need the knowledge of zakat if you are a poor man, but you need the knowledge of hajj. For example, when you need to go to hajj. So this is what they call it, the necessity. That's something that you need to worship Allah with. So this knowledge that I'm talking about is an obligation. But the knowledge of certain things that they are so deep in the Islam, it's maybe for the ulama. But there is a certain knowledge which is the minimum to worship Allah. It's an obligation for you. So this is what I'm talking about. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran, فَأْعْلَمْ. He says, no. It's a command actually. He says, فَأْعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. And then He says, وَاسْتَغْفِرْ لِذَنْبِكَ. He says, know that there is no God but Allah. That there is no God worthy of worship except Allah. He says, no. He didn't say just do or just go ahead. Imam al-Bukhari in his book, he said, باب العلم قبل باب القول والعمل. He says in his chapter, in one of the chapters about the chapters of knowledge, if you open Sahih al-Bukhari, it says the chapter of knowing is more than the chapter of saying and acting. It means you cannot act, you cannot talk without knowing. He said, do not talk, do not even act. What you doing? I see, wallahi, sometimes I pick up a book and I sit right there, sometimes for hours, reading about, I have this beautiful book about, it says mistakes of the prayers. And everything has a reference. Sahih al-Bukhari, what did the Prophet ﷺ said? Wallahi, you see our prayer and how it's supposed to be. It's amazing. Why? Because we don't approach this level or maybe this topic of knowledge seriously. We think, I just worship Allah any way, any shape, any form, and Allah has to accept anything. It doesn't mean it's not like that. Allah, He loves the people to worship Him out of knowledge. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, he said, طلب العلم لا يعدله أي شيء لمن صحت نيته. قال وما صحة نيته؟ قال أن تنوي أن ترفع الجهل عن نفسك وعن غيرك. Look at this beautiful saying of Imam Ahmad. He says, seeking knowledge, nothing is equivalent to it. For those who are sincere in their intention. He says, what is the sincerity of knowledge? He says, is to intend. By learning, to intend. By removing ignorance from yourself and removing ignorance from the people around you. This is the intention of knowing, is to remove ignorance. When it comes to relationship between worshiping Allah, you have to worship Allah with knowledge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives amazing example in the Quran about the difference between a dog, that he is knowledgeable. Here you go in the Quran, you see it. You see it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, if you have a dog that is trained, that is knowledgeable about training for hunting, and then you send him to catch the prey, but actually he went to somewhere else, and a wild dog, actually catch the prey. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, it's haram to eat from that food. Go check it out in Surah Al-Baqarah. يَسْأَلُونَكَ مَاذَا أُحِلَّ لَهُمْ قُلْ أُحِلَّ لَهُمُ الطَّيِّبَاتِ وَمَا علمتم من الجوارح مكلبين تعلمونهن مما علمكم الله فكلوا مما أمسكنا عليكم. Look at the ayah, amazing. And I don't have the ayah with me, but that's the meaning. He says, Allah, eat from the dog that is trained, that you علموهن. You train that dog. He says, eat from this dog because he's knowledgeable. But do not eat from this dog, a wild one who cuts the prey. And the ulama, they say, wallahi, they talk about it. They said, look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala value the knowledge that even was given to the dog when it comes to hunting for you. And if another dog cuts it for you, for that prey, you should not eat it. So it means that every time, all the time, that a Muslim, the first verse that was revealed, or the first word, it means read and study and iqra. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decrees the people who know everything about the dunya, but they know nothing about the akhirah, about the religion. He says, وَيَعْلَمُونَ ظَاهِرًا مِنَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَهُمْ عَنِ الْآخِرَةِ غَافِلُونَ. They know the appearance of this worldly thing, but they are heedless on the matter of the akhirah. We should learn about our deen, we should learn about our religion, we should worship Allah the proper way. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون. سلام على المرسلين والحمد لله.